Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the series where I talk about games that I played in the Chess League. This time it's going to be the fourth Chess League, so the second highest that I ever played. And this was played in February of 2025 in round 6. I had the white pieces, and as usual, I started with e4. Now, the time control for this game is that you have 90 minutes for the 40 moves, and then you get a half an hour after that with a 30-second increment from move 1, so the most basic one. He played c5, which is the Sicilian, and the most combative or fighting opening for black in all of chess. Then I played knight to f3, the open Sicilian. He played knight to c6, and the open Sicilian is marked by the move d4. He took c takes d4. I took knight takes d4. And so far we were both in fury, so it was nothing special. After that he played e6. Now there are many setups here. You can play g6, you can play as black, you can play knight to f6 instead of e6, you can play d6. So there are a lot of possibilities to choose from. I played bishop c4, activating my pieces and getting ready to castle. And he played queen to f6, attacking my knight, where I defended it with bishop e3. So I defended while developing a piece, which is the best thing to do. Then he played knight takes d4. And I took bishop takes d4, attacking the queen. The queen moved to g6, attacking my g2 pawn. And I played queen to f3 because he was also attacking my e4 pawn, and this was the only move to save both. Then he played knight to f6, developing and attacking my e4 pawn. I took bishop takes f6. He took g takes f6, which kind of surprised me because I thought he would want to trade the queens, but apparently not. Then I played a3 just to give some space to my bishop in case he ever plays some d5 move, and also that after knight c3 there is no bishop b4 pin, which would be slightly annoying. Then he played a6, maybe to go b5 and bishop b7, which is a common theme in these openings. Then I went knight to c3, now avoiding the pin, and he played bishop h6, preventing me from going long castles, which is what I wanted to do, because going short castles right now would run into the queen and rook, which could very easily go to g8, and I would have some issues even with the pawns that could just storm my king, the h pawn, the double death pawns. They wouldn't be a weakness, they would be an asset to an attack. So I played queen to g3, wanting to trade the queens, because when somebody is attacking you in chess, you want to trade off their most powerful attacking piece, which is the queen, and then the likelihood of you getting checkmated is lower than if the queens are on the board. Then, after he played b5, I played bishop d3, maybe threatening some discovered attack on his queen. Then he played bishop b7, the point of b5, and then I played queen takes g6, trading the queens, after which he took h takes g6, which is the most logical move as he opens a file for his rook. In that sense, taking on g6 was a mistake because I helped him, but I felt that in the end game I might have better chances if the queens are off. Also because of his doubled pawns, but also because I can't really get checkmated, or the likelihood of that is very low. Obviously, I'm not going to. Well, I shouldn't castle in this endgame because it just brings my king further away from the center of the game, and the king is a great asset in the endgame, but I castled anyway, which is a mistake that I have to work on because I always think that not castling is a fatal blunder, but as you can see, my opponent did not castle and it worked out for him. Where was I? After h takes g6, I played knight to e2, and then he played rook c8, and I played rook d1, then d5 was played, and knight to g3. Bishop f4, and e takes d5, bishop takes d5, and short castles. This was a big mistake, but I now know that I don't have to castle in every game. So king e7, connecting his rooks and getting ready to attack my castled king. Rook f2 e1, potentially dealing with some pins on the e6 pawn. Bishop e5, covering the pawn so that I have no pins going on. Then c3, and it just went downhill from here. Bishop b3, attacking my rook. Now I have to likely go to a1. I mean, going to c1 would just run into bishop f4, so I would have to go to a1 anyway to not lose the rook, so I went there, but that just shows how bad my position is. Rook c2 d8, attacking my bishop and infiltrating the second rank in the future. So bishop e4. I was just playing on because this is a team competition and you've got to try to do something out of nothing. So I now knew that my position was lost, but what can you do? I mean, I played this a bit too quickly. I still had an hour on my clock, which means I only used a half an hour plus the 30-second increments, and we are on move 23. So it was I used maybe 40 minutes, which is way too little, but yeah, my time management is rather bad. Something else that I need to work on. So bishop e4, rook d2, as I said, infiltrating the second rank. And now it's over. Now I played rook e2 to guard my second rank because my knight guards the rook. But he played rook h to d8, doubling up and threatening checkmate as well. So the two threats are now checkmate and getting rid of my rook, and after knight takes, he can fork my knight and pawn on the second rank. So I cannot defend both of these threats, and as obviously checkmate is the bigger one, I have to defend it, so h3 was played. Then he took on g3. Now I have to take the rook first because my rook is attacked and I can take his bishop, but I have to do it in this order so that I don't lose material. Now, in this position, I thought he could take on f2 and like save his bishop or do a desperado, but then I realized that it doesn't work because I don't have to take with the king. I can just take with the rook and up material. So that didn't work. Instead, he took my rook, attacking my b2 pawn, which is now defenseless, and I took his bishop. Then the rook took on b2, and then rook b1 because I don't have anything else, and if I want to hold on, I would have to very likely let go of my pawns on the queen side on a3 and c3 because the rook would just attack them and I wouldn't have a way to defend. So he obviously I took with the bishop. In these bishop endgames, being down a pawn is not that big a deal because you can sacrifice your bishop for the last remaining pawn, assuming there are no other pawns left. And with just a bishop and king against king, you cannot checkmate, so it's just a draw. So that's what I was hoping for here, or that's what I was working towards, and we'll see whether it worked or not. So he played f5, I brought my king. I activated my bishop first, bishop d3. I knew I couldn't trade bishops here, so the only thing that I could do is attack his pawns and try and win them. King d6, then king f2, king d5, king e3, and then e5, blocking my king from going over to f4 to his pawns. Then h4, just hoping to create an outside passed pawn which would decide the game effectively, but he didn't let this happen. Then he played bishop c4, hoping to trade bishops. I could not, so I played bishop c2, and he played a5. I played h5 to create an outside passed pawn. He played f4 check, and I took the pawn g takes f4, then he took g takes f4, and I took king takes, and then he took g takes h5. Now this endgame is lost because he has his king very close to my pawns, which are on dark squares, unfortunately, and since they are on dark squares, my bishop can't defend them, so a move with the bishop and then going king c4 would win the game for black effectively, and that's kind of what happened. So yeah, after g takes h5, I played bishop d1, going after his pawn. Then h4. Now this endgame is only winnable for me or drawable if I can somehow promote my g pawn, which is very hard considering that he has an h pawn as well as an f pawn, so I have to win those two before I do anything else, and therefore my chances of drawing this are very slim. I played bishop f3 check, he played king c5, or no, king d6, sorry, king d6. Then I played king g4, and he played bishop d5, attempting to trade bishops. Now I played bishop e2, attacking his b5 pawn, and he played bishop takes g2, and I took on h4 because that's the bigger threat, I mean to queen his h pawn, but I don't know whether there is anything else that I can do. This was probably an only move. I couldn't have taken on b5 because he would queen, so. Then he played king c5, and now he has a passed pawn as well as a more active king. My king is somewhere on the outskirts of town. Then I played king g5 to go after his pawn, but that wasn't at all possible. King g5, bishop d5, guarding his pawn, so then king f5 and bishop c4. I can't trade bishops once again, so I played bishop d1. Then he played a4, which kind of surprised me because But yeah, if you want to win this endgame, you can't trade pawns, so going for the b4 break is not an option. So I played king e5, maybe king f6 was a more precise option, the going for the pawn and with the bishop maybe, but it's just beyond lost. And so king e5, bishop d3, just yeah, bishop f3, and king c4, and now I'm losing a pawn. I played bishop d5 check, but I'm losing the c3 pawn, and then I took on f7, obviously hoping to get a draw, but this was not possible. After bishop takes f7, he played king b2, and king d4, attacking the bishop, bishop f1, bishop d5, king takes a3, and in this case it would be a draw if I sacrifice my bishop for the b pawn in a position where my king could get to a1, because it would be the wrong colored bishop with a rook pawn, which is a draw. But I mean, there are draw possibilities everywhere, but those are only tricks that you can get into if your opponent doesn't know what he's doing. So king takes e3, king c3, then he played b4 check, I played king c2, then b3 check, I played king b1, or b3 check, sorry, bishop takes b3, because it's lost anyway. He took a takes b3, king b1, and bishop d3 check, where I can only go to, I can go to a1 or c1, but in any case this is a loss for me, because on a1 it would just be checkmate with the pawn, and on c1 he would check me. I could only go away from the pawn somewhere, and then he would make a queen, and people in these chess leagues know how to checkmate with a queen and a bishop. He could even make a bishop. People know how to checkmate with two bishops. It's rather easy, and I can show you in the next video. But this game just shows that I can't assume that I can castle every single game, and I can't assume that my opponent will castle every single game. Obviously, it's the best, or the thing that's recommended to beginners by our coaches, but every rule has an exception, and this game just proves that there are more exceptions than rules.